SVG just confirmed something after Watkins Glen that should terrify the rest of NASCAR, because what Shane Van Gisbergen did on Sunday wasn't normal. It wasn't luck. It wasn't strategy. It was domination on a level NASCAR almost never sees anymore. 29 seconds behind 24 laps left, and somehow he still won by 7 seconds. That is not supposed to happen in modern NASCAR. But the scariest part? SVG admitted after the race he didn't even think the strategy would work, and now the rest of the garage has a serious problem, because this wasn't just a win at Watkins Glen, this felt like a warning shot. Let's talk about it. For most of Sunday, Shane Van Gisbergen absolutely owned the race. He led 74 of 100 laps, controlled every restart, looked untouchable. Then everything changed on lap 60. Caution flag. Suddenly the field splits on strategy. 9 cars stay out. SVG pits. And just like that, the dominant car in the race gets buried deep in traffic. 26th place. Over 29 seconds behind the leaders, SVG gets on the radio furious. He thought the race was over, but crew chief Stephen Doran stayed calm. He told him something critical. The cars ahead were gambling on fuel and old tires. SVG had fresh rubber, fresh fuel, and one job: go hunt them down. Even SVG admitted afterward he wasn't convinced. But then, the insanity started. He passed Ty Gibbs, he passed Connor Zilisch, he passed Michael McDowell, and he didn't just pass them, he drove away from them. By the finish line, the gap was over 7 seconds. 7. That's not a close finish. That's a massacre. And the broadcast booth said it perfectly. One of the greatest road course drives in NASCAR history. Honestly, that might not even be exaggeration, but here's what made this moment different. After the race, SVG revealed the car actually struggled badly in practice. That's the scary part, because if this team can dominate after struggling early in the weekend, what happens when they unload fast immediately? Now let me tell you why this win meant so much emotionally. This was SVG's first Cup win driving the number 97. That number belonged to his father, Robert Van Gisbergen. It's the number Shane grew up around, the number tied to his entire racing identity. And now he just used it to win at Watkins Glen on his birthday weekend, back-to-back wins at the Glen. 7 Cup wins in only 14 road course starts. That's insane. But Michael McDowell said something after the race that should make every driver nervous. McDowell finished second solid day, but he admitted that after the final pit cycle, he and SVG restarted side by side on equal tires. Same opportunity, and SVG still disappeared. McDowell literally said it felt like SVG was pacing himself. Think about that. One of NASCAR's best road racers basically admitted SVG wasn't even pushing at full limit the entire time. That is terrifying for the competition. And then there's Connor Zilisch. The 19-year-old rookie nearly stole the spotlight himself. Top 5 all day, fast, aggressive, confident. But late in the race, tire failure, gone. From potential top 5 to 20th. Still, even Zilisch admitted how insane SVG's pace was. Now here's the messy part nobody can ignore. While SVG was celebrating in victory lane, Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell were having a heated confrontation in the garage. The cameras caught it. Both drivers furious. And this matters because Christopher Bell is fighting for a championship right now. Distractions like this, bad blood, they can spiral fast late in the season, and Bubba Wallace is not exactly known for letting things quietly disappear. So don't be surprised if this storyline explodes again soon. But honestly, none of that changed the biggest takeaway from Watkins Glen. SVG just confirmed something the rest of NASCAR didn't want to admit. He's no longer just a road course specialist. He's becoming the guy everyone fears when the race gets chaotic. Because when strategy flipped against him, when the field buried him, when the race looked over, he didn't panic. He hunted the entire field down. And if Trackhouse keeps giving him cars like this, the rest of NASCAR might already be in serious trouble. What if I told you Shane Van Gisbergen and Trackhouse Racing just made a decision that could either save their season or completely destroy it? Because this weekend at Watkins, Glen International SVG is doing something he has never done before in NASCAR. 3 races, 3 different cars, 3 different teams, 1 weekend. And honestly, the more you think about it, the crazier this looks. Because on paper, this should not be happening right now. Not with the pressure building, not with the playoffs getting closer, and definitely not with Trackhouse themselves struggling the way they are, but somehow, somebody inside that organization looked at this weekend and said, yeah, let's triple it. And that's where this story gets really interesting, because this isn't just about racing more laps. This is a gamble, a massive one, and if it goes wrong, it could wreck one of the most important weekends of SVG's entire season. Let's break this down. SVG is entered in all 3 NASCAR National Series races at Watkins Glen Friday, Truck Series Saturday, Xfinity Series with JR Motorsports. Sunday, the Cup Series race, with Trackhouse 3 garages, 3 crews, 3 setups. 3 completely different race cars, and fans online are split right down the middle. Some people think this is genius, because let's be honest, Watkins Glen is basically SVG territory. Last time he raced a cup car there, he didn't just win, he dominated one by more than 10 seconds. Made elite, NASCAR drivers look completely helpless. So naturally, people are saying, why not go for all 3, or a disaster waiting to happen? And here's why. Triple duty sounds exciting, but it destroys drivers mentally and physically. The Truck Series car drives differently, the Xfinity car drives differently, and the next-gen Cup car completely different from both. Every braking point changes, every setup changes, every handling characteristic changes. So for SVG, a driver still learning American stock cars this weekend becomes a crash course in experience. That's the gamble. More laps, more reps, more adaptation, more learning. And honestly, that part makes sense, because SVG himself has admitted he's still learning these cars. The braking, the tire wear, the way the rear rotates, you can't fully learn that in a simulator. You learn it through raw seat time, and Watkins Glen gives him all of it. But now comes the dangerous part. Imagine this. Saturday afternoon, SVG just finishes an exhausting Xfinity race. His neck hurts. His hands are sore. His brain is overloaded. Media obligations everywhere. Crew meetings, setup discussions. And then Sunday morning arrives, where he has to defend his Cup victory against drivers like Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, drivers who absolutely circled Watkins Glen on their calendars after what SVG did to them last year. That's pressure, real pressure. And here's what makes this even riskier. Every single playoff point matters now. SVG is in a position where one road course win changes everything. A victory at Watkins Glen could instantly flip the narrative. Suddenly, he's not the struggling oval rookie anymore. He becomes a legitimate playoff threat. And with more road courses still ahead, that becomes terrifying for the rest of the field. But the downside, nobody at Trackhouse wants to talk about that publicly, because one mistake changes everything. One hard crash Friday night in the truck race, now your body is sore for Sunday. One bad incident Saturday in Xfinity,